I'm calling somebody out today because there's been a lot of stuff that I've been seeing on social media recently that is a load of nonsense. And there is one person who I think has flown under the radar of scrutiny for a little bit too long. And I think it's now time for somebody, me, okay, to call him out and set the record straight. Now, the person I'm going to be calling out today in this video is a young man by the name of Julian Brown, okay? You might have seen this guy all over the internet, okay? He is apparently creating a new form of fuel out of plastic waste, and he's apparently going to save the whole world. He's going to save us from climate change. He's going to save us from high fuel prices. But it turns out this guy is low-key a bit of a, in my opinion, okay, I don't want to get sued, but low-key, in my opinion, I think this guy's a bit of a fraud and a grifter, okay? I think he's spreading a whole lot of cap and painting himself out to be this big hero, which he unfortunately is not. And he really isn't the savior that we all think he is, okay? So this is Julian Brown, all right? Julian Brown, he's got his own Wikipedia page. I guess it's been, has it been deleted? Hang on. All right, so interestingly, his Wikipedia page has been deleted. Funny that. But this is an archived version of his Wikipedia page where we can see some of the backstory about him, okay? Julian Alexander Brown is a social media personality who claims to have invented an alternative fuel from plastic waste. The process that he promotes is actually standard pyrolysis, a long-established chemical method that produces fuel with higher levels of carcinogens and other pollutants than traditional diesel. He also claims to be working to turn pollution into a source of energy through his company called Nature Jab, okay? He basically, look, he's from Tennessee, okay, he hails from Atlanta. He began to work whilst he was in high school, equipped with only welding certifications and without any formal training as a scientist and an engineer. He claims he taught himself the necessary skills and spent 5 years developing his microwave pyrolysis technology. He reportedly began experimenting with plastic to fuel technology as a teenager, and aside from experimenting, he's also trained in martial arts. So I might be in line for a big ass whooping after this video, but I don't care because I've got to keep it real, man. I might be catching a nature jab to the face. I'm going to try and parry that bitch. But anyway, it says Brown founded the startup Nature Jab and ran experiments to scale up his plastiline system. He showcased homemade prototypes via social media, especially on TikTok and Instagram, earning over 1.3 million followers and millions of views. He also launched a GoFundMe campaign, attempting to raise $1 million to build a full-scale plastiline plant, although as of late July 2025, the effort only collected $18,000. But now this is what this video is going to all be about: controversy and criticism. Brown's claims have been repeatedly criticized by scientists and journalists as misleading. One fact-check article from Yahoo News revealed that his novel invention was simply pyrolysis, a decades-old process with well-documented limitations. Furthermore, a piece from New Atlas called into question the validity of Brown's use of pyrolysis for energy production. Plastiline is not considered a legitimate fuel alternative as it yields less energy than is required to produce it. You got to burn more fuel to make it, all right? If you got to burn a liter of fuel, you might end up with 0.8 liters of fuel at the end of it. It's a waste of time. It's phony baloney nonsense, okay? Furthermore, GCMS analysis of Brown's plastiline conducted by a chemist and YouTuber affiliated with the University of California, Irvine, revealed the presence of highly toxic pollutants like toluene, ethylene, and xylene. These compounds are considered more hazardous than those found in traditional gasoline. Now, we're going to talk about his disappearance and the public concern all about him, okay? But we're going to get to that in a sec. But that's enough Wikipediaing, okay? Let's actually start looking at some of the brash claims that he's been making over the years, okay? So he first really popped off with this whole pyrolysis BS thing back in December of 2021, okay? Julian Brown, just 18 years old at the time. This was when he first publicly appeared on the internet in 2021, right at the end of the year. And he was promoting a device that he called a pyrolysis reactor. In simple terms, he claimed to have a microwave that could turn plastic into fuel. Watch this.
Hello, my name is Julian Brown, and I'll be explaining how I, at 18 years old, have created a microwave pyrolysis reactor, a device that turns plastic waste into fuel. First, I'll start with my drive. What motivates a teenager to build a reactor? Well, it all started back in 2021, early 2021, and I was very upset after I read an article that said globally we throw away over 3.4 billion masks every single day, and in 2020 alone, 1.6 billion masks were thrown into the ocean. Now, masks, they're made of plastic, just like many things in this world. And unfortunately, whether they're in landfills or in the ocean, they'll be around for a very long time. Now, for a while, I was so disappointed reading these statistics that I became pessimistic, believing we're doomed and we're all gonna drown in our trash like Wall-E or something. However, Mom always taught me that if there's a problem, there's a solution. And I listened to that song by Michael Jackson, the one that goes, "Man in the Mirror," and I decided I'm making the change.
So he listened to some Michael Jackson, he realized there was a whole bunch of masks, okay, and he decided, I'm going to be the one to save the world, okay? And since, basically, plastic, all right, the masks, all of that stuff, okay, he's going to explain how pyrolysis works, okay? Let's hear his explanation of how pyrolysis works, and then we'll get to what he's actually doing.
As an individual, as a community, or even as a small or large business, you can become a part of the solution to help the Earth. This led me to find the process of pyrolysis. In Greek, the word pyro means heat, and lysis means to break apart. Put two and two together, and you get breaking apart something with heat. Now, unlike combustion and incinerators, pyrolysis does not involve oxygen. Compared to a fire where the plastic is oxidized and releases toxic chemical. I know, I just said oxidized. I'm taking you back to chemistry class. Trust me, it'll get better. Hang in with me there, alright? Now listen. Pyrolysis, it melts the plastic into a liquid, and then it evaporates it. I like to think of it like if you leave ice out on a hot summer day, what's going to happen? It's going to evaporate. So after that, we're going to go back to the science. You take oxygen out of the equation, and it changes a lot. For example, in a fire, you'll get things like sulfur dioxide forming, which is when sulfur mixes with oxygen. And as we all know, you take one whiff of that stuff, you're a dead man, right? Well, maybe not that extreme, but at the very least, it's going to cause acid rain. Who wants that? I don't want acid in my rain. On the other hand...
Now, remember everything he's saying here for later, all right? He's saying, oh, we don't want these toxic chemicals in the air. Who wants acid in their rain? Who wants to put more toxic chemicals in the air than are already being put into the air? Well, it's highly possible that Julian Brown might actually end up doing exactly what he said. So he basically goes on to explain how this thing works, that plastic is made from oil and gas, and he claims that he's got a microwave that reverses the process and can turn the plastics back into gasoline.
With pyrolysis, you would just get sulfur, which is a valuable element used in the industry. Now, since plastic is a product of crude oil, which is the same stuff we run our world off of, it is very energy dense. And under pyrolysis, this can be refined back into crude oil and liquid fuels. So instead of getting smoke, you get combustible gas made of things like propane, hydrogen, methane, and butane, similar to natural gas. Another property of this pyrolysis gas is that there are condensable components in it. Now, what does that mean? Well, have you ever in your life been walking outside, cloudy day, and you just get hit in the head with, sky water, right? Pretty much rain, snow, so it's sky water. Well, that's condensation for you. When you take a gas, you turn it back into a liquid. You see, with pyrolysis, when it's condensed, it becomes an oil. So you get a face full of oil instead. Now, with that oil, it can be refined into crude oil, which can then be turned to liquid oils, right? Now, we talked about the...
Now, look, he's not lying, okay? You can definitely turn these plastics back into oil, back into gasoline. But as I said at the start, as we covered from the previous, content about him and the Wikipedia page, that isn't something that's good for the environment. You're taking bad stuff, plastics, you're turning it into... You're burning all these toxic things, and you're ending up with a lesser amount of gasoline and more toxic chemicals polluted and released into the environment than essentially you would have had at the start of this thing, okay? It's very inefficient. It's a very damaging and harmful process. Again, it's really not the way that we should be using to try and get all of our energy needs fulfilled, okay? But he basically goes on to explain, his grand vision was to create a solar-powered microwave that was pollution-free and profitable to use.
Hypothesize that when we run this off of renewable energy, it is absolutely possible for microwave pyrolysis to be economically viable. And even if all of this was untrue, microwave pyrolysis...
Even if all of this was untrue...
This is still one of the safest and quickest solutions we have so far at eliminating plastic waste that otherwise is untreatable, unrecyclable, or bound to end up on our oceans or our landfills.
So you can take it out the landfill and you can put it in the air.
Become more innovative, energy...
Like, you can take it out the landfill and just put it in your lungs, That's great. Like, let's take all this trash out of the landfills and just start breathing it.
Efficient and effective. I believe that microwave pyrolysis is one of the most exciting and promising options of the future. Not just for you, not just for me, but for we, because we can become a part of the solution together. Thank you.
So we can all become part of the solution together, all right? But if you look from the very beginning, okay, he's very careful with his words, all right? He uses very careful, clever patterns with his words, okay? And he basically has always been able to be very strategic with his language. He constantly used the words created instead of invented, and he subtly implies that he was the originator of this technology without actually ever properly saying it, okay? So let's look at this little clip from earlier on.
Now, you see, my goal was to create a device that processes any type of plastic and anybody can use, including you. As an individual, as a community, or even as a small or large business, you can become a part of the solution to help the Earth. This led me to find the process of pyrolysis that we use right now. You see, My goal was to create a device that processes any type of plastic that anybody can use, including you.
So his goal is to create this device that can process any type of plastic, all right? He's not saying that he invented this process. This is an old process. This has been around for a while. But he used all of this, okay, his profile, his framing of like he's basically going to be the savior of everything to blow the F up, all right? He popped off. The YouTube channel for Nature Jap now has over 500,000 subscribers. His TikTok has 3 million followers. His Facebook profile now pushing 300,000 followers. And his Instagram's popping too. It's just shy of 3 million followers, okay? But look, we need to take you all the way back to just debunk some of this stuff, okay? In reality, this entire science of microwave pyrolysis, or the device that he said that he created, this was nothing new, and it wasn't even his idea. So the process of pyrolysis, okay, this has been patented since all the way back in the 1970s, okay? This is microwave pyrolysis of waste, a process for recovering vaporizable or organic compounds from solid waste containing organic materials, which comprises of the following steps: passing a gaseous stream through a microwave discharge zone, TJE pressure of the gaseous stream in said zone being from about 0.1 millimeters of mercury to below an atmospheric pressure, the temperature of said zone being between about ambient temperature and less than about 200 C, passing comminuted solid waste containing organic materials through said zone and subjecting the gaseous stream and the comminuted wastes in said zone to the microwave discharge to ionize the gases in the stream and form vaporizable high reactive fragments of the organic materials, which became entrained in the following gaseous stream wherein interactions occur between the ionized gases and reactive fragments. This ain't nothing new. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm no scientist, okay? I ain't really about to build my pyrolysis machine over here, but I'm not really out here trying to get clout off this whole thing. So not only had this been invented and patented in the 1970s, but in 1997 there had been successful attempts to turn plastic into fuel using a microwave, okay? This is some academic research. It says Frank Pringle has found a way to squeeze oil and gas from just about anything. I'm not sure if I'm watching a magic trick or an invention that will make the cigar-chomping 64-year-old next to me the richest man on the planet. Well, that was in 1997, didn't really work out, did it? Everything that goes into Frank Pringle's recycling machine, a piece of tire, a rock, a plastic cup, turns to oil and natural gas seconds later. I've been told the oil companies might try and assassinate me, Pringle says without sarcasm. Now remember that, because this same trope is going to get reused by Julian Brown later to maximize his clout. The machine is a microwave emitter that extracts petroleum and gas hidden inside everyday objects, or at least anything made with hydrocarbons, which it turns out is most of what's around you. Every hour, the first commercial version will turn 10 tons of auto waste, tires, plastic, and vinyl into enough natural gas to produce 17 million BTUs of energy. It will use 956,000 of those BTUs to keep itself running. Pringle created the machine about 10 years ago, all the way back in 1987, after he drove by a massive tire fire and thought about the energy being released. He went home and threw bits of a tire in a microwave emitter he'd been working with for another project. It turned to what looked like ash, but a few hours later he returned and found a black puddle on the floor of the unheated workshop. Somehow he had struck oil, or rather, he'd extracted it. Petroleum is composed of strings of hydrocarbon molecules. When microwaves hit the tire, they crack the molecular chains and break it into its component parts. Carbon black, an ash-like raw material, and hydrocarbon gases which can be burned or condensed into liquid fuel. Pringle figured that some of those gases from his microwave tire had lingered and the cold air in the tire shop had condensed them into diesel. If the process worked on tires, he thought it should work on anything with hydrocarbons. The trick was finding the optimum microwave frequency for each material out of 10 million possibilities. Pringle has spent 10 years and $1 million honing in on frequencies for hundreds of materials. In 2004, he teamed up with an engineer pal, Hawk Hogan, to take the machine commercial. Their first order is under construction in Rockford, Illinois. It's a $5.1 million microwave machine the size of a small bus called the Hawk. Bound for an auto recycler in Long Island, New York, more deals loom. The US military might use Hawks in Iraq or on waste such as water bottles and food containers. Oil companies are looking to the machines to gasify petroleum trapped in shale. And back at the shop, Pringle is still zapping new materials. A sample labeled bituminous coal goes in, and 15 seconds later, Pringle ignites the resulting gas. You see, he says, why they want to kill me. So he was saying all the way back in 97 that they were trying to kill him. He would take the project commercial in 2004. And, you know, he was saying, we're going to be working with the defense sector. We're going to be working with the government. They want to kill me. They don't want to kill you, bro. If you could actually do the stuff that you're saying and it was actually useful and it wasn't wasteful and it wasn't more inefficient than just getting regular fuel in the same way that we always get fuel, the government would be using it, bro. If you invented something that the government would actually be able to, like, save money and protect they would do it, bro. But it's not It's not doing what you guys think. And it would turn out that Julian Brown isn't even the first person to take this thing to YouTube. In July of 2013, a guy called Steve Goodman would upload a clear and working demonstration of microwave pyrolysis on plastic on YouTube. Okay, this is 12 years ago. So they're microwaving a plastic cup. They're explaining the liquid nitrogen condensers that wheels produce. Pyrolysis products flow between liquid nitrogen condensers. Yeah, we don't really need all that, to be honest with you. That copyrighted song, it's a copyrighted song, that's L. So yeah, you get the gist, all right? Microplasma formation flashes, and he basically turns that cup into fuel. Okay, so all of this was going on while multiple billion-dollar companies had already perfected the business of turning plastic into fuel years before Julian popped out with his creation, all right? So this isn't anything new. So for all this talk of, oh, they're going to kill me, oh, I'm going to work with the government, bro, loads of companies have been trying to use this thing, billion-dollar companies, okay? And this is basically showing just all the companies in the plastic to fuel technology market. It says plastic waste is a growing environmental challenge, but innovative companies are turning this problem into an opportunity by converting plastic into fuel. These technologies not only help reduce landfill waste, but also provide an alternative energy source, contributing to a more sustainable future. Here's the top 10 companies leading the charge in plastic to fuel technology. And here's a bunch of companies that were working on this in 2024, massive companies with billions of dollars in revenue already. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to kill these guys. Nobody's blowing up these companies and taking them out. It's just like they're just trying their best to actually try and, do something with this technology that's actually useful. And this is where we get to some of the motivations behind why Julian Brown might be trying to claim this thing as this big new invention that he's the head of. Okay, because just 3 months after his first video in March 2022, Julian would pop out and publicly ask his community for donations, all right? Essentially, he wanted some money so that he could get work to build a device that had already been created, that already loads of companies were trying to do this thing, but he needs your money to get this thing off the ground, man. We're going to save the world if you just give me a few coins. That's what he said, man.
Being said, we will design this new reactor, okay? We as a community will come together, and I will take all your suggestions and we will put them all into play to build this new microwave pyrolysis reactor. Now that links me into my next thing. The next thing is I started a Patreon, okay? I don't like asking for money because that's not what it's about to me. This is about the passion, this is about the solution to our pollution problem in the world, and this is about, just having a community of people on YouTube. Well, with that being said, it's only $5 a month, and it will really help me and this project out. That's what I'd spend all of it on, the project. Because as much as I don't want this to be about money, the truth is this world is run by money, and this reactor does cost money, especially designing a new one. When I gotta buy all these new pipes and stuff, it can easily cost several $100s. So with that being said, if any of you are feeling generous to support me, I will greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate all you for just being here and watching. So don't even feel the need to support me for 1 second on Patreon, because I completely value all of your time regardless, okay? I love to be able to see how everybody can come together to give me different suggestions from all over the world. It's amazing to me, okay?
So look, he just needs your money, man, to build this device that's already been built, that's already out here circulating, okay? And this would turn out to be only the beginning, all right? Because from asking for a cheeky little $5 on Patreon, okay, by 2023, Julian would be launching multiple fundraising campaigns, including this one that he dropped in January of 2023, asking for $1 million, okay? He said, plastic to fuel, together we will heal the earth, all right? Just shut up and give me your money, man, dummies, all right? Don't do no research on this. You probably ain't even smart enough to understand how this shit works. So just send me money, man. First 100,000 raised will get me a warehouse space. I'll be able to move to the location. Once I get 300 bags, I'll be able to order all the Sampa parts. At 450,000, I'll be able to begin construction. I can't even build it until I got 450 racks, all right? Once I got 750, all right, we'll have completed the construction. And that's when the marketing phase begins, all right? That's when we do the big dog, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to get these likes and these followers up. And once he gets $1.5 million, which is even beyond the $1 million goal, okay, permits and regulations will get passed. We'll be able to analyze the fuel and we'll be able to take this thing to the market, okay? Even though apparently it's very inefficient when it comes to actually how it works and its actual usefulness in reality, okay? You'd be better off just going to the gas station and buying some fuel at the local rates rather than doing all of this. But hey, man, you need to give him some money, man. So he raised $21,000 of his $1 million goal, which, to be honest, like, it's pretty off target. But at the same time, like, that's still quite a lot of bread, okay? And another GoFundMe would be dropped in 2025, okay? So he's got different GoFundMes for different times, and this one, he was only looking for 16,000, but he raised 36,000, all right? He said, support the solar-powered plastic-to-fuel invention, man. You need to support me. He said, I've been self-taught in turning plastic into fuel for 5 years, and now I need your help to raise money for the most important upgrade yet. This will be my first official invention, all right? The first in the entire world continuous solar-powered microwave pyrolysis reactor. On my very first YouTube video at the 13-minute mark, I mentioned a future where my microwave pyrolysis plastic to fuel devices can operate off solar to create free gasoline and diesel alternatives. It's free now. He's going to create free gasoline. He just needs your money. He just needs your money to make free gasoline, man. Free gasoline for life. Okay, he explains all of this. He's careful with his words. Okay, he says, I brought up this hypothesis during the construction of my Mark II microwave pyrolysis reactor. The one visible on the table beside me looks like a trash can with a couple bolts put into it. I'm currently on my Mark 4.5 machine 3 iterations later. This shows the long-term vision and goal I've committed myself to since the beginning and how operating my machines off solar was an inevitable occurrence. Here's my 5 past microwave pyrolysis to plastic fuel reactors. He's showing you all the reactors that he's created, man. He's got the oil barrel. He's fitted some attachments onto it. He's got these pyrolysis machines. He said, these are all 5 machines I've dedicated my life to in the hopes of a better future for all generations of Earth, where plastic and waste undergoes a whole complete societal reformation, where we value waste for what it is, energy, even if it costs more energy to actually create, to turn that energy into a lesser energy. And you'd have been better off going to the gas pump, man. We need it. I need your money, man. I need your bread. Okay? Needs your bread. So people would donate thinking that they're donating to this, you know, revolutionary and groundbreaking technology. And what happens is over the next few years, as he is asking for people's help on these GoFundMes, he constantly posts videos about his new plastic to fuel invention. Okay. In June 2022, he would attempt to turn tires into fuel on his YouTube channel. Check this.
Welcome everybody to the next episode of Will It Pyrolysize. Now today we are doing rubber tires. In the meantime of me filming this, I have run a poll, and I'm not talking the kind that strippers dance on. I'm talking a poll where we vote, and the next episode will be for grass clippings, and that is because that was voted around 45%. The closest thing after that was food waste.
So look, every time, like, he always presents this like this is some crazy new technology. But again, this is a YouTube video from all the way back in 2007. You probably didn't even know YouTube was active in 2007. But somebody was using a microwave on rubber tires to demonstrate the very same process all the way back in 07.
I am George with Global Resources Corp. Today I'm going to take you through a demo with our prototype microwave unit. We're going to be converting tires into diesel fuel today. This is a sample of what we're going to be doing. Just ground up tires, a little soft. And what we're going to do is put this into the microwave reactor unit. Over here we're going to set the tire sample. Center there was a thermal indicator. Okay. See what we got here. Remains of the tires have been gasified. What's left over is pure carbon black. Carbon black is used in pigmenting plastics and also in making tires, so this product is saleable.
What are you guys going to do burn?
What we have here is pretty high-grade stuff, mostly in the diesel fuel range. That came from just 100 grams of tires.
So look, This is a real thing that happens, but people have been doing this for years, all right? But anyway, okay, you know, look, all types of videos are on YouTube basically showing you the same stuff that he was doing, all right? That's basically what it is. But in February of 2023, okay, a wave of new articles and social media posts would go viral, and it would claim that Julian had discovered, and some had even said invented, a completely new product called plastoline. Okay, look at this.
So, I just finished running my plastic to fuel reactor behind me here. Let's see some of the fuel I got out, yeah? Look at that. That's from plastic. Oil. Gasoline. Plastic. Empty. Barely any fume left in there. Not enough to start it on its own, alright? So, plastoline. Gasoline made from plastic. Let's go ahead and put it in. Alright? There we go. It's in. There we go. And I'll put this on full choke. Pull it a couple times. If it doesn't start, we'll just take it off choke, maybe half choke, run it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. You heard, baby. You heard. Let's go. Let's go. You heard that?
So this came with the title, right? It said this new entrepreneur has discovered a way to take plastic and turn it into gasoline. He calls this new product plastoline, this new product that we done heard about all the way from the 70s, all right? He was saying, I'm locking this thread. I believe over 1,000 of the same comment is quite enough. And already back then, people are saying someone needs to keep an eye on him and protect him before the oil companies find out, man. It's called pyrolysis and it's not new, right? Congratulations, this entrepreneur has rediscovered humanity's 8th invention. And we extract most plastics from crude oil already. Next, he'll figure out how to gasify coal. Honestly, gasoline is pretty much the least interesting and most wasteful way that we could be using oil, okay? Yep, it's always nice when they find a new and useful purpose for an old technique. It's just not new, nor did it get invented by them. Neither is he the first person to use it on plastic. You have tutorials on how to do it yourself all over the place. Wow, why the downvotes for this comment? And it's 100% correct. During pyrolysis, carbohydrates gets broken down into a solid and liquid gaseous part. The liquid part can be processed into fuel. Germany was turning coal into oil during World War II. The technology's been around for almost a century. It's simply too expensive, okay? It's too expensive, man. Just give Julian some GoFundMe money and he'll be able to make it work. This says negative. We'll need more energy to create gasoline than the end gasoline ends up providing in the vehicle and has difficulty scaling. This is a misleading headline. No matter how much we want it to be true, i.e. kill two birds with one stone, use plastic waste, steam as feedstock, come up with cheap gasoline finished products. People say it's not about whether the system is net negative for energy, it's about storage and portability. You cannot carry geothermal, hydro, or solar power with you. Without a battery, those are theoretically infinite in capacity, so you can use one to create the other, you can power your car. They're saying it's not wrong, but making gasoline through pyrolysis could well be the stupidest way to use renewable energy I've ever heard of. You're going to take renewable energy, you're going to take solar power from the sun and use it to create polluting, like super twisted, polluting, harmful gases. All right? It says, look, we already have enough oil. We don't need to do this. Burning the liquid from pyrolysis emits the same pollution as if you just burn the plastic directly, so it's not an improved solution to clean up plastic waste. I don't see any advantage here. People saying article about pyrolysis. Pyrolysis is the thermal degradation of plastic waste at different temperatures in the absence of oxygen to produce liquid oil. It probably uses gasoline to heat it up, okay? Burning plastic as fuel is not the solution to climate change for F's sake. This seems like an obvious take. Man, this is a stupid comment section. Wait, I want to ask somebody who can answer me honestly. Does the production of this create more microplastics in the environment? Is it even worse than oil and gas? This is not a new method for creating gasoline. It just heats up the plastic without the presence of oxygen until it reverts back into crude oil. The crude oil is then processed into fuel. The problem with this system is you have to use more energy to convert the plastic into crude than is present in the end product. Okay, so it's basically just a way to lose energy pretty much. That's what they're saying. They're saying, shush, you're ruining their TikTok views. No cuts except for the part where I'm pouring gasoline into the jar. It says, love the no cuts text, even though you don't see him. Fill his contraption, run his contraption, collect the distilled fuel, take the fuel to the weed whacker. Here, let me show you filling up the tank with this fuel from off screen that I totally 1,000,000% got from my invention. Defo, no cap, I swear on my dog's grave. All right? How many times does something like this need to be debunked before the Redditors catch on? I don't even need to read the comments to know how full of dookie this guy is. Okay? Entrepreneur discovers well-known process that's been around since the 90s. Tens of thousands of researchers have tried to make it viable, but it's not scalable. The process requires more energy than it extracts and is far more toxic than putting the plastics in a dump. But it's fun to see every generation who comes on the internet getting duped by this one, all right? It's been invented many, many times, all right? So look, I don't need to read more of this, but basically, okay, there's a whole bunch of other people that have done this on YouTube, all right? We got more people over here on YouTube in the Philippines doing the same thing, all right? I think this was from the Philippines. Could have been somewhere
Inside, the granulated plastic gets melted into vapors that are distilled into this, a golden liquid that is chemically identical to regular fuel. Only it's better, says the company, as pollutants from the incineration process are minimal, and the quality of the fuel is cleaner due to its low sulfur content. It's also 10 to 20% cheaper
looks familiar, right? This whole scene, this whole setup looks very familiar.
than regular fuel because of large supply of plastic waste and lower production cost. Right now, the plastic fuel is approved for industrial use and is being tested for vehicles, with promising results.
Damn, he got a motorbike running on this fuel, man. That's crazy. That's so crazy, man. I can't believe it. I've never seen anything like that, man. If only we could put that in a Hellcat, and then maybe we'll actually believe this thing is actually going to go somewhere. Anyway, okay, to be fair, all right, to be fair to Julian, okay, he never explicitly claimed to have invented plastiline, okay? His website carefully states that he's only refined it, okay? He's very careful with his words. After distillation of the pyrolysis plastic oil, it yielded a very clean and volatile liquid akin to gasoline. Refined plastiline, okay? He's very careful about how he does it, but he rarely makes efforts to correct the narrative going on around him. Now, this is where the criticism starts to get louder. On June the 3rd, 2024, one YouTuber called Chemical Distractions released a video explaining that Julian's innovation was actually just an old, dangerous process that produced toxic fuel that was basically cancer juice. That's how it was described.
Process isn't new. This has been done before, and it's basically been around since, like, plastic's been around. People have been turning plastic into biofuel. So why are we just now hearing about this green fuel revolution? Well, the thing is, it's been around, and it's been sort of quietly in the background. Pyrolysis research has been going on in academia for forever now, and the reason you probably haven't heard about it is because it is not very green. The idea is green, but in practice, it ends up producing a lot of not so green things. There's millions of dollars that goes into researching pyrolysis because, you know, if you could produce good, clean fuel from this, then that would be amazing. But the thing is, this guy's sort of got this whole setup where he's doing it at sort of random temperatures with random plastics at apparently high pressure for some reason. And he gets this, which he calls crude oil. Me and some of the guys in my chemistry discords that I've been talking to, we personally like to call it cancer juice. And yes,
He said it straight. He's making straight cancer juice. Okay, that's what Julian Brown is unleashing with his invention, straight cancer juice. So chemical distractions would basically go on to explain that turning plastics into fuel releases harmful byproducts like benzene, a highly toxic substance that's known to cause cancer. That's why it's cancer juice.
Basically what gasoline is. So great, you know, it's sort of like gasoline, except for there's this one big problem where a lot of it's benzene. So for those of you who don't know what benzene is basically the chemical in gasoline that sort of gives it that weird, distinct gasoline smell. And
that stuff's bad, all right? You don't want that stuff.
And it makes up about 1% of gasoline. And actually the EPA and, you know, a lot of people try really hard to get as much of that benzene out of the gasoline as they can for safety reasons, because benzene is very highly carcinogenic, which means it causes cancer. So, you know, what percentage benzene is the fuel that he's producing? Well, according to my research, of the liquid products, it depends on the plastics involved. And from what I've seen, I don't know if they know exactly what plastics are involved, but let's be ambitious. Let's say he uses polyethylene, which is a pretty good plastic for it. If you sort of crack or pyrolyze polyethylene, according to the research I've seen, you'll get maybe 10%-ish benzene, which, you know,
it's bad.
It's not great.
So it could be 10 times as cancerous as normal gasoline, okay? There's a reason that these big companies, I'm not trying to defend the oil companies, all right? Because they got a lot to answer for in this society that is being polluted on. But essentially, Julian Brown's invention is 10 times more dangerous. and more harmful than regular gasoline. Okay, so chemical distractions would end his critique with an analogy basically explaining how Julian was seemingly taking people's money despite having no idea what he was really doing.
Doesn't matter. And I don't really want to sound like a jerk, but let's just create an analogy. Let's say I did this fundraising project so I could build a super skyscraper and everybody could live in it. It'd be awesome. Amazing super skyscraper. But the thing is, I don't know anything about building anything. And I should probably let people know, hey, I don't really know how to build anything. And I'm also really not going to try that hard to look up how other people build things. And that's, you know, I'm a good welder though. I like welding. I'm just saying, if people knew that they were giving money to this sort of non-professional messing around and sort of guessing game, then they might feel a little different about it.
So it's a bad look, all right? And interestingly, okay, a little while after this, all right, later that same month in June 2024, Julian would actually respond, all right? He would clap back, okay, and he would make a crucial admission in this video where he basically claimed, well, up until this point, I didn't have the necessary tools to test the oil that he was producing. Okay, so this is defense.
Case, though, I really keep the oil. I really, like, if I ever burn it for a video, it's burning for a few seconds. I usually have a mask on, and it's done. And then I keep the rest of it. I store it. Because once again, for all my products, it's the same thing. I store them until I can figure out, get the proper tools to figure out what's in them and how to properly process them, so that way I'm not doing any type of environmental harm or health harm. And I usually, you know, when I'm not making a video and talking, I'm usually always wearing a respirator with...
So look, that's the thing. He's super careful, right? He's basically saying, yeah, I guess so. But like, I only burn the fuel for a few. So he's basically admitting that, like, yeah, I am creating some pretty harmful stuff. All right. So basically, once again, okay, more than a year after he claimed to have created plastiline, it would once again, okay, be circulating all around. All right. This basically is just, you know, this is that same post that I showed you earlier, but basically everybody's saying that he created it. And eventually a lot of people were asking in those comments on that video that he dropped.
In my case...
All right. Like, here's one comment. It says, how can he make claims without ever testing his results scientifically? You know, there's other people saying, take a benzene blood test and post the results. You know, they're saying, test it for benzene and prove it's safe to burn. People are saying, yo, like, you need to actually work this out. He even, like, a lot of people are saying, wow, he really admitted to not having the equipment to test it. People are asking, do you have any way to remove the benzene? This is the thing. It's like, you're beginning to realize, like, yo, like, do you have any actual way to remove the benzene as well as the other chemicals which are also harmful? Like, all these claims you're making for clean fuel, we're going to save the world, is cap. It's fraudulent. You're not going to save these. This is a big problem. It says, okay, but why won't you address the waste issue? People are screaming at you about the benzene. How are you working on waste disposal? Do not just dump that material into the ground. You need to get it tested to see what you're creating or releasing. For example, what gases are you releasing when you put this stuff out? Saying you're lucky you did this outside. Don't breathe those vapors either. All right. Cancer isn't instant. I'm not just a hater. I don't know. I wish the best for his long-term health, though. Okay? People are saying, yo, like, this guy is kind of just on the wrong wave, all right? And so as the months went on, okay, he would continue to do his thing. He wouldn't let the criticism or the skepticism stop his momentum. And in December 2024, Julian's next announcement would take the world by storm, man. He would pop out.
So I've created my own gas station that makes fuel from plastic waste. Let's go.
So now he's created his own gas station.
Oh.
That don't look like any gas station I'm trying to go to. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If I pull up at the gas station and fools are doing this, I'm gonna find the next Chevron, man. What type of gas station is this, buddy? I ain't never seen this at BP, man. What? What? Gas station, bro? You might want to just focus on building some batteries, some electric chargers, bro, if you really want to save the world. This is crazy. And this has 616,000 views of his gas station. Like, bruh. I don't want to be anywhere near this shit when it gets set on fire, bro. I don't want to be anywhere near that, man. That's crazy. So, coincidentally, right, on the very same day, he was doing this, opening his own gas station, inventing his own gas station, all right? And the same day, Ben Katz will be testing the quality of his fuel.
Thank you, NatureJab, for sending me the samples and trusting me to analyze them for you. I definitely don't want to discourage any of your scientific spirit, but I like to give the facts. But my video is going to focus a little bit on safety.
All right, here we go. Acting. Oh man, I can smell them from here. I should put gloves on.
He can smell that cancer juice from here, man.
There's the most, and this peak here at 3.28 is coming up as toluene. So toluene is methylbenzene. All right, so the most abundant peak in all of these microwave pyrolyzed plastic samples from Major Tab is this huge peak at 5 minutes. If we click on this, in every sample, this is coming up as styrene. You know, styrene monomer is what's used to make polystyrene plastics. I'm assuming there's maybe some plastic mixing going on, which is accounting for the styrene. Styrene, so this is what we call vinyl benzene, right? So it's a very dangerous molecule. It's toxic. I'd be very careful since the number one volatile thing you're smelling is most likely the sweet smell of styrene. You can read about styrene as a colorless, flammable, highly volatile gas used in the plastics manufacturing. It is kind of like more of a synthetic chemical that they would use in the manufacturing of plastics. They typically won't use it for fuel or anything like that. And it's going to be in everything. It's a precursor to a lot of different plastic products. The problem is styrene is a very toxic. It can give you symptoms like the feeling of a drunkenness or nausea. It's irritating to the eyes and throat and skin. Just reiterate my caution for how toxic the molecule styrene is and how much precaution you should give to your own personal health. And
so there's very, very dangerous toxic chemicals in there, man, and you definitely don't want to be around when this stuff's burning. You definitely don't want to be inside if a vehicle is burning. You definitely don't want to be in an enclosed space when a vehicle's burning this fuel, man.
That's my advice. My professional advice is that this amount of styrene, you really need to come at it with the proper protection so you do not get yourself sick. The peak that's right before styrene, they're kind of like all benzene rings with different decorations on them. This is ethyl benzene, right? So that's just one extra. So it's either dimethylbenzene, which is called xylene, so that would be xylene, but it also matches ethyl benzene. It's kind of difficult with these ring structures that are all similar in mass to know exactly where the double bond positions are, because just the way EI fragments it, they're very similar. It's just a slight difference. But you're basically making BTX gas is essentially what you're doing here. All right, so Nature Jab, I really appreciate you sending the samples in. I don't want to squash any of your hard work, your scientific spirit, and your dedication to all the great things that you're doing. Just as an analytical chemist that gets to see the real data, I want to urge caution and proper PPE and making sure that you just don't get sick, man. I'm just a little concerned for your safety.
So he said, I'm concerned for your safety, man. You need to be wearing proper PPE. These are dangerous, harmful chemicals, man. So people are saying, so he's just doing very elaborate pollution. And that's liked by Mass Spec everything. Okay, people are saying, thank God you did this. I love the kid spirit as well, but being very careful about pyrolysis of plastics because they make so many dangerous compounds. Okay, people have been presenting him with these concerns for years. It's always the same. I'm working out the kinks. Even with perfect depolymerization, he's going to create some really toxic stuff from certain plastics, and he just can't connect the dots because he doesn't fully understand the chemistry. In truth, he's going to keep doing this as long as he can trick gullible people to feed, i.e. donate money into his delusion. There is no next step. He's going to make the cancer juice over and over again with no real plan. The worst part about it is that it's never these people who face the ramifications. If there's certain providence for these types, it's going to be someone else who gets seriously sick before it's shut down. Okay. Thanks to this, he isn't using a catalyst to help push the products formed in any certain direction. He's going to get himself in trouble at some point, especially moving to the scale that he is at now. But despite that, okay, he was still featured in major news outlets. Okay, he popped up on Yahoo News, and this was a pretty positive article about him. Not really touching too far on these things. This article's titled From Waste to Wealth. That kind of sums it up. It's all about the wealth. It's all about making money. Julian Brown's plastoline produces gasoline from plastic. It's not Julian Brown's, is it? He didn't invent it. He wasn't around. He wasn't even alive in the 70s, man. But it says Julian Brown's a 21-year-old inventor hailing from Metro Atlanta. He's captured the attention of the nation with his pioneering invention. What? Known as plastoline. So there's some misinformation here. The machine transforms old plastics into useful fuels like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. It's an invention that may provide some relief from plastic waste pollution. No, it is cancer juice, man. Okay, it's basically a whole breakdown of him, his teenage inspiration to create plastoline. That product became plastoline, an invention that we're not in it, bro. You didn't invent nothing, bro. This is you pumping out cancer juice. To make the vision real, Brown started a GoFundMe campaign with $1 million goal. All right, $1 million goal to cover warehouse rental and construction of a full-scale prototype. But at this point, he'd only raised $7,000. Okay, so after this, okay, about 10 days after that article, Julian would announce his new creation, Plastidiesel. All right. And once again, he was very careful what to say, and he didn't claim to have invented this one, but he was saying, hey, new pack just landed, man. Plaster Diesel, get ready, you man. New cancer juice just landed. New pack.
My name is Julian Brown. I have created a microwave pyrolysis reactor, a device that creates fuel from plastic waste. Behind me is this beautiful Ford F-350 diesel, 1995.
I'm Rachel Cook. I found out that he needed a diesel truck, so it was my pleasure to watch Julian's Plasti Diesel hopefully change the world. I think he's onto something amazing, and I'm so stoked to be a part of it.
We have emptied the fuel filter completely of all real diesel, and we're going to put in Plasti Diesel. And that is going to allow that Plasti Diesel to be pushed directly into the fuel injectors, allowing this car to run off 100% Plasti Diesel, proving to the world that plastic is not trash, but it is energy.
I'm super inspired by what he's doing, being so driven to do something about a problem that he sees.
Now, let's drive this car. We have run this truck successfully off of diesel created from plastic waste.
Nobody wearing a mask, all right? Everybody breathing in that cancer juice is actually pretty twisted, okay? And once again, this wasn't the first time diesel had been made from plastic, okay? This again, okay? So, my new plastic diesel, new pack just landed. No, new pack didn't just invention, man. Oh my God, that's unbelievable in 2014 that was going on. Now, Julian Brown's attempts to portray his work as groundbreaking would continue all the way into 2025 with misleading video titles like the world's first truck running on plastiline, a claim that was only technically true because he had renamed the product Plastiline himself rather than, you know, what people were calling it from the 70s. And again, it was just another finesse.
Fire. Hats off to him. He is doing something that will obviously change the world.
Innovative, awesome guy.
Interesting how they protect this man, right? We heard the same dude from all the way back talking about in 1994, I need to be careful, you know, the oil industry is going to kill me. And he's doing the same thing, bro. It ain't nothing new, all right? And that's when things started to get a little bit strange for him, okay? Things start to get a little bit out of hand. So just weeks after that viral truck video, he gets more press, perhaps. I'm not even going to go too far, but you know what I'm saying? Maybe someone was doing some PR work, but he had another article posted about him, okay? And basically the big boys over at Forbes, they wrote up an article about Julian Brown, and they said, trash to treasure, okay? Can plastic waste be converted into fuel, okay? And it would basically break down, you know, the whole situation with Julian Brown, you know, all of the process of pyrolysis. It says a 2022 study published in Nature described energy recovery of waste plastics and diesel fuel for a process called pyrolysis. 2022 study, bro. We've been hearing about this since the 70s. This has been patented, okay? But this was another kind of puff piece from Forbes. You know, it basically talks all about Julian Brown, his amazing stuff he done. You know, it's you know, just breaking it down. He's an innovator, all right? He's a climate fellow, all right? He's trying to build a better future. What's his motivation, okay? All of this stuff, but it's not really given too much scrutiny. It says Brown received a $100,000 grant from Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit and husband of Serena Williams, but he wants larger funding from a government agency or other funding sources to scale up his work. Brown is just old enough to buy alcohol legally, yet he's already engaged in the circular economy, producing cancer juice that is potentially destroying the environment, okay? But this thing would actually be working out for him, okay? The strategy was working. He was getting his bread, he was getting his bag, and he had even achieved some of his GoFundMe goals, okay? He said, thank you for $25,000 raise. Let's change the world. I'm coming to Oregon next week, Portland or Eugene, so you better get your face mask ready, man. Better get ready for that cancer juice to be coming to your area, polluting your environment, okay? And about a month after this, this is when he started to go a bit loopy, to be honest, okay? This is when things became... this is when things go into full grift mode. Because about a month after this, he got his 25 bags from GoFundMe, Julian would post a video where he was claiming that a secret helicopter was circling him in the middle of nowhere. And he starts making a series of paranoid posts saying that the powers that be are out to get him for this incredible invention, non-invention.
Look, spotlight right at me. I don't know what's going on. This is the third time this helicopter's been here. Look, it has a spotlight on it. There's a helicopter with a spotlight that keeps circling around me. It's so loud. though. Like, I can't even go to sleep. Alright, so for those of you who have not seen my stories on Instagram, 2 nights ago I was sleeping in Alabama where I work with my reactor, and there was a helicopter that flew really low and had a spotlight at 10 o'clock at night. Flew over me, shined the spotlight right into my windshield, then flew away, came back, did it again, came back, did it again, came back, and did it again. It came 5 times, and this helicopter was flying so low I could feel the blades in my body. And I was recording it and posting it to my story, right? Letting everybody know what was going on. I was ready to leave. If it had done it a 6th time, I would have been gone. Let me tell you why this gets freaky and starts to get scary now. Outside of how scary it is to have a helicopter circle you 6 times in the middle of the country, where there's almost, like, I've been there for a year, never seen a single helicopter out there. So to have a helicopter out there at night with a spotlight circle me 5 times is already freaky enough. But many of you suggested I get Flight Radar 24. I'm a gold member. I got it. I listened, okay? Because you can go back in time, you can select categories to figure out what type of plane you're looking for, right? Like if I wanted to do just helicopter, I could do all the filters, but then I can go back in time too to see. I can go directly back to the date and the time at which this happened. So right now I have it filtered for helicopters, and right now as I'm filming this, these are every single helicopter that's flying in the world right now, everywhere. This app is pretty cool. And I gotta say, if you guys are watching Flight Radar, you can sponsor me because I actually really like this. I can't show you guys my screen because you'll know my location.
Just trying to get the bag while he's there, innit?
If I do that. But here's the scary part. I went back in time. I went hours before the helicopter ever showed up and just sat there looking at the screen, and guess what, guys? No helicopter ever showed up on Flight 24. But I have it on video. There was a helicopter there. But why was that helicopter not there? I wish I could show you. I can't give away my location.
I wish I could show you, man, but I can't. So after this, okay, he disappeared off social media for 2 weeks, and people were very suspicious. They were thinking, oh, the oil industry has finally got to him, man.
Conspiracy theories have been making waves online as the inventor of plastiline hasn't posted anything since his last cryptic messages. On July 9th, Julian warned followers he was under attack and then vanished from social media. Now his mother is finally speaking out. In an exclusive with the Daily Mail, Nina Brown said, "I can confirm Julian is safe, but in the best interest of his security, I'm not able to provide any more information." Julian made headlines for plastiline.
Ooh, spooky. Can't share his location. He's around, but we can't say because the Black Hawk helicopters are trying to get him down. Now, this is something that was also covered on the Wikipedia page. It said on July the 9th, 2025, Brown posted a video on social media where he expressed concerns about being followed and stated he believed he was in danger. In the clip, he said, I know I don't have long to live, and he urged his followers to screen record this. And following that post, he became inactive online. Despite the widespread attention and theories around his appearance, the Atlanta police said no missing person report had been filed, and his mother later confirmed to reporters he was safe but declined to provide any more details for security reasons. And then in August 2025, he came back and started dropping videos once again. Okay, and he eventually, when he did return, okay, the first thing he said was, oh, I'd been hacked. He said he'd been hacked. That's the new explanation.
Hey, somebody tell those hackers, "He vuelto, perras." I'm back, bitches. And don't ever think I'm gonna go down without a fight. But I promised you guys in my last video, I'm still working, I'm still building no matter what. And thank all of you. I am so humbled to have the whole world's support. And I want to let you guys know that when some force is fighting me, you're not just fighting an individual, you are fighting the whole world, and you are fighting the source, because this is not mine. This was bestowed upon me by the Most High. And I am just a vessel for the collective consciousness, so no amount of nefariousness can triumph somebody who walks in righteousness and faith. You see, these hackers, they got into my iCloud, and they were able to basically remotely watch and view my entire phone. I figured out they were in my phone, kicked them out, and they had no more access to my phone, but they still had access to my Instagram somehow. My best guess is that these hackers were using some type of session token because they cloned my iCloud that was having the session tokens connected to my Instagram account. But to be honest, my best guess is yours. So you know what? I know you hackers are watching this right now, so how about you let the world know what you did? And while you're at it, you can also let the world know how all 3 of my microwave irradiated nuts taste in your mouth. And they posted my driver's license 3 days back to back in front of millions of people. And no matter how many times I get in the account, delete the license picture, and then change the password, change two-factor, everything. They get back in. And I started to realize, wait a minute, these people have been studying me for 6 months. They have some type of back-end way to get into my account, and they know I'm the type of person to want to share with the world what's going on, keep you guys in the loop, and they're using that against me. So I said, you know what? They're not going to put me in a chess move. I'm going to do the opposite of what they are expecting. I'm going to break their plans by going silent.
So look, all right, very interesting, okay, but also very suspiciously, all right, around this same time, this was on July 31st, okay, it just so happened, all right, that around the time that he popped off and disappeared from social media, okay, the month before, New Atlas published an article that basically called him out and exposed him as a fraud, turning plastic into gasoline, backyard alchemy, or TikTok hype, okay, this article would explain it all. It said, picture this. 21-year-old backyard scientist in Alabama, Julian Brown, sweeps away some dirt and leaves from his homemade solar generator-powered 10 magnetron-powered pyrolysis microwave reactor, probably running around 8 kilowatts or more before nuking a pile of plastic bags, laundry detergent bottles, milk jugs, and other scraps of household plastic that would have otherwise gone to landfill. He then sludges out an unrefined goop-like substance that's looks similar to a blown head gasket oil, like chunky chocolate milk, before starting the refinement process to produce gasoline alternative he calls plastiline. The refining process is a simple distillation, but with a lot of unnecessary pouring from one beaker to another, all under a carport atop a gravel driveway in the backyard of his house. Nature Jab, Brown's social media name, has been slowly gaining traction on the internet and local news outlets. His actual company is called Jab's Pyrolysis and Energy Recovery. Brown has a heap of videos on YouTube showing himself using the various reactors he's designed and built himself. After watching quite a few videos, they're very disorganized and hard to follow exactly. Lots of ranting and dancing and random cuts. He does have a video from 3 years ago where he breaks down his thoughts, basically saying he wants to use microwave pyrolysis to create fuel from plastics using renewable energy sources like solar and wind and be carbon neutral while doing so. While he has half a dozen or more solar panels strewn around the backyard, you can almost always hear a generator running in his videos, so he hasn't reached carbon neutrality quite yet. And let's not bring up all the toxic fumes being released into the air. I imagine the EPA would be quite upset. Brown agrees that it's true that plastic pyrolysis creates a lot of carbon emissions. However, he believes the acts of recycling plastic collection, sorting and transporting plastics to be recycled creates more, okay? They're basically calling him out, all right? And so a month after that, after Julian Brown's disappearance, okay, the site Lead Stories would run a fact check on him and basically call him out for being a fraud and say he did not invent this product. It said, fact check, Julian Brown did not invent the pyrolysis method to convert plastic waste into usable fuel. Did a Georgia man named Julian Brown invent the process for turning waste plastic into useful fuel? No, that's not true. Brown's Nature Jab system harnesses solar-powered microwaves to heat a pyrolysis reactor. That is a well-understood chemical process in which heated plastics generate usable gas and oil that's been studied and refined worldwide for decades. Okay? It basically talks about all the posts on X and the fact checks that were put on them. This is what the post looked like on X at the time the fact check was written. And basically it just goes on to just, debunk all of his claims. It basically says he did not invent plastic pyrolysis as a means of reducing plastic to gasoline, diesel, or biochar. Nowhere on his website does he claim to have invented the process. However, he was awarded an innovation grant archived here for developing small-scale systems and his use of solar electrical generators and efficient microwave emitters to heat the plastics to pyrolysis temperatures. Okay, but there's been numerous patent applications that predate Brown's founding of Nature Jab. And, essentially it's old news, right? And it's debunking everything, okay? But despite the exposés, despite people calling him out, despite the facts that were being passed around, the bizarre disappearing act and all of that stuff, news outlets were still promoting him elsewhere as an inventor. This is a post on WTVM where he was interviewed for a segment where he basically, is showing off his new process.
The young inventor has gained viral attention for what he calls plastiline. 22-year-old Julian Brown claims he can convert plastic waste into fuel using a process called microwave pyrolysis. News at 9's Amaya Graham sat down with the inventor earlier today. She joins us now from our newsroom. Amaya, this is pretty exciting stuff. Tell us more about it.
Well, Barbara, Jason, this has been a passion for Brown since he was in high school. Through tons of research, he has created diesel and gasoline from plastic.
With a goal to recycle plastic in a way that's 100% reusable, 22-year-old Julian Brown is using plastic to make what he calls plastiline. Brown uses a microwave pyrolysis powered by solar panels to turn the plastic into fuel.
That vapor of petroleum is condensed back into a liquid petroleum, and it ends up becoming crude oil.
So this is kind of once again portraying him as a genius, okay? And it's basically just explaining all the same stuff that we already heard. So the mainstream media is still backing him. And that brings us to October the 4th, 2025, which is really the big thing that made me want to kind of call him out in this video, okay? Because essentially it was October the 4th where Julian continued pushing forward, and he made another viral video where he said, I'm going to use my homemade fuel to run a scat pack, baby. You know what I'm saying? Not full Hellcat, but like he said, look, we're going to run a scat pack. We're going to run a Dodge scat pack off plastic waste and plastiline in Atlanta, of course. Atlanta, you got to go to the land of the scat packs. But here's the thing, man. That cancer juice in an enclosed space, this ain't a good look.
Guys, this is an experimental fuel. I recommend backing up. This is experimental fuel. Back up.
This is an experimental fuel backup. Bro, you need to back up outside, bro. You inside burning the cancer juice. What the hell are you doing, bro? You're putting all of these people's lives and health in danger.
All right, Dolly. Hit it. Hit it.
Everybody getting cancer in that room, man. This is a really, really bad look, all right? This is actually such a bad look, all right?
We're good? Yep. All right.
This was him, like, starting off this whole photo opportunity, but he's doing this inside, bro. This is so irresponsible.
Plastiline. 110 octane made from gasoline. 2023 scat pack right here. It's on E. This does not have fuel inside of it. There we go. See the crowd out there. We're making history, and everybody's here to see right here in Atlanta.
So you get the gist, right? You put the cancer juice into the scat pack, it popped off, and then everybody's just inside breathing in that cancer juice. It's crazy. Yes, cancer. Cancer, yes! Yeah, woo, cancer. Everyone getting cancer. You get cancer. You get cancer. Everyone getting cancer, baby. We cancered off right now. Big C's in the chat for the cancer gang, man.
Back up, back up, back up.
So he really got the scat pack, you know what I'm saying, running off that. Everybody inside, they're saying, God, please protect this man and his mission. All right. Now, this is content solving our pollution in a smart and simple way, using our pollution to fix the problem. Magnificent. May this man have a great and prospering future. Not everybody else in there, because you're all getting cancer. But my man, Julian Brown, gonna have a bright future. This even got posted officially to the Scat Pack Reddit. And people were not feeling it, man. People were not feeling that cancer juice. Julian Brown, the man who invented plastic to gas called plastiline fuel, puts it in a Dodge Scat Pack, and it ran perfectly. Okay, not in my car, bro. All right, everyone revering this man for technology that already exists and is not cost-effective at scale. Okay, that's some snake oil fuckery that people have known how to do for a long time. I got secondhand embarrassment watching this video. Okay. It's cool, but one look at the comments and doing your own research. He didn't invent anything new or improve the process. He's just very good at marketing and social media. I cannot believe that he was so irresponsible that he would actually have that scat pack running on that toxic fuel that's been proven to be toxic over and over again. Straight cancer juice in an enclosed area. So irresponsible and out of line. But that's where we left it, man. The last we saw of Julian Brown, he was just, you know, he was just spewing cancer juice and cancer-causing chemicals all around the dealership with the Scat Pack, and now he's even got his own merch, man. He's built a complete financial engine powered by public donations, product sales, and advertising money. He got his own merch. You know what I'm saying? He got his own merch. Plastic plus microwave equals cancer juice right there, man. So he is doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? He's got all the merch, man. You know what I'm saying? Nature jab, man. He's really out here demonstrating. So, look, I feel like this is really lame. I'm not trying to put down, you know, a young black man that's trying to find his way in the world. But the reality is, he didn't invent this product. Okay, it's a product that's been around for years. It's completely inefficient. It doesn't scale. It's not helpful, and it creates very dangerous cancer-causing chemicals that he is very irresponsibly polluting into the environment. You shouldn't even be doing that outside, let alone in an enclosed space. They're saying that these chemicals, this type of fuel might have 10 times the cancer-causing chemicals and harmful substances that regular gasoline has, and it's very inefficient to produce. So look, I'm really sorry, a little bit of disrespect to Julian Brown, because I feel like what he's doing is very irresponsible. But look, this isn't the guy that you should be supporting, man. I'm not trying to be in the pocket of big oil or, you know, the powers that be, but at the end of the day, this isn't the solution. Okay, this guy is causing problems. He's very irresponsible. He's putting cancer juice out into the world, and it really shouldn't be condoned, man. So look, is what it is, man. That's the breakdown. He low-key is low-key, in my opinion, a fraud. Okay, and he's actually causing serious harm to the people around him. So, you know, hopefully maybe he'll redirect his attention to something more positive, something more useful. A lot of dumb people are getting duped by this guy saying, I've invented, oh my God, protect this man at all costs. No one wants to kill this man unless it's the EPA trying to get him out of the way for putting cancer-causing chemicals into the environment and into people's lungs in the Dodge Scat Pack dealership. Very irresponsible, if you ask me. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Maybe I'm just a big old hater and I'm in the pockets of Big Oil and Chevron and BP and all of them. Or maybe I just don't want fools breathing in cancer-causing chemicals for some guy to get some clout on Instagram. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Catch you in the next video. I'm out here. Peace.